Hello and welcome back to Sports Week Merseyside. And I'm here this week. I'm here, Matt. I'm here.
Physically in the building.
Physically in the building.
Phil is in the building.
Not on a screen, just here and sitting right next to you as normal.
How are you feeling, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'll do. I'll pass. I'm still alive. So anyway, today we'll talk about what's been going on, but today I've just come back from Tranmere Mansfield.
Oh yeah, no, I was up some scaffolding. I've been doing a bit of work today, so I'm not. I've seen the results. Obviously, I've been kept up to date with it, but I wasn't listening or watching today. So bad fan.
Well, I was watching it, and we should have won. And in all fairness, Tranmere should have won that match. They had the chances. David Nugent had header as soon as he came onto the pitch. But we've gone up to third place into the automatic.
Bizarrely, we get a draw. Should have been a win. Oh yeah. To me, what'll be will be. As I've said it to you before. I know, not off camera, off microphone. However you want to put it. The only way we're going to tell whether these are good points is once we come, to the end of May or whenever the final game, the final ball's been kicked. Mm-hmm. It's a good point if we make if we get in the automatics. If not, then we don't know. That's just the way that football is.
It is indeed. There's not been much football in the rest of Merseyside.
No, they're all off on international break, but Merseyside's still well represented. Mm-hmm. Mr. Calvert-Lewin popped up with a couple of goals against the mighty San Marino.
Oh, you know what? I started watching that game and it was like, it's just like a training session.
Yeah. I mean, he's done well there. I thought Lingard played well. Since he's gone to West Ham, he's definitely he's looking better. He's looking better as a player, and obviously he was provider for one of Calvert-Lewin's goals. But he's ticking him over. It's good to see Merseyside represented. And not the usual, there was no surprise. Obviously, we covered this about Alexander-Arnold not making the squad, but not. No Liverpool representation, no Henderson, no nothing. There's nobody. No. I think they're either injured or a little bit out of form, and he's brought Calvert-Lewin. No Pickford either as well.
No.
So the only Merseyside football representative there was Calvert-Lewin. He's done a job.
Maybe we can talk later on to. We've got a phoning guest. I know that supports Liverpool.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about why this is happening.
Possibly a bit more insight than we'd have.
Yeah, a bit more insight than we have.
More closely connected to it.
What about last night? St Helens got off to a great start by beating Salford.
See, I didn't see the St Salford one, but I did. I was avidly watching. I know it's kind of not Merseyside, but Wigan League, the local derby there. Hell of a game that was. Yeah,
Lee took a surprise.
They did 18-0 up, and then Wigan come back. But I mean, it was a bit of a depleted Wigan side, to be fair. To give them the due, it was a shock for them to be 18-0 back. But they played well once they hit the straps. They got that one. But yeah, Saints getting off to a winning start, defending the title, defending their crown, so to speak. And we've got Warrington get off the mark tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'll probably watch that.
I can't really see past St Helens for the title, to be honest.
Can you not?
No. I don't think there's any other team that can catch them, to be honest.
Well, Salford were there or thereabouts. Salford are always a solid team for me. And they was it 26 something?
Yeah, well, they were well beaten.
Yeah.
So St Helens off to a winning start, and
Saints are always a decent side, Saints, and it pains me to say it with my Warrington sort of affinity, having spent sort of 12 years working in sunny Warrington. You pick up about I'm an adopted Wire fan.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
maybe you'll finish second. Will you take that? Will Warrington take that?
I don't know. Finishing top's not done them any good. They finished top a few years back, and then it always seems to do well in the regular season, and then as soon as we get into the playoffs, it just doesn't quite vibe. And get into the final, I know all expectations were there, and not quite happened under Smith, and now we'll see how we go. I'd like to think it a parting farewell. It'd be ideal if it go out and.
He's
take the Super League crown, and then sort of that'll be
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Personally, I don't think that'll happen. I think
don't.
St Helens will take that title, but we will see. It's only one game into the season. There's a lot of rugby to play.
Yeah, definitely a lot to play. Leeds won today as well.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Right, okay. A strong side. And in rugby union, Wales became the Six Nations champions.
They did. I watched that as well last night. I was all over the sport. I was all over the rugby in different formats. I was flicking between the Super League and the Six Nations. Obviously, France needed that win by 21 point gap, and but what a game! 5 minutes of time over because obviously Scotland keep recycling the ball, and then they went over for the win and beat. So not only did Wales win, they won it outright. It wasn't like they were, they won it properly.
Yep.
By some distance, and deservedly so. They were head and shoulders above everybody else. Fair few close games though, to be fair.
England have got to reshape. They've got there's a World Cup coming.
Yeah.
They finished fifth. As we said last time, I think we gave them the rubber spoon, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, they've got to give them something. I mean, because they finished last. Let's not be honest. It's always going to be Italy at the bottom, and then whoever goes next. So England finished last.
They did. Moving on, Formula One. Wow, Max Verstappen on pole for the first Grand Prix for the Bahrain Grand Prix to Red Bull ahead of Mercedes. To start with, wow, it's going to be a battle there.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah,
exciting. Do you think that's where that ultimately it's a 2-horse race in terms of constructors, and also when I say 2-horse race, not for the drivers' championship, but a 2-horse race, as in the winner of the drivers' championship will come from one of Mercedes or Red Bull. So it's yet to be this. I mean, you assume Hamilton will be the Mercedes one that's sort of there or thereabouts.
Well, he's second on the grid.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of racing to go. How many laps tomorrow? 90 something usually. 50
at 56.
Are you one of these people that gets up early? Ridiculous. They're ahead of us, aren't they?
It's in the afternoon.
Oh, is it?
Because it's a night race.
Oh, is it under the lights?
Yeah, under the lights.
Happy days. So what
it's interesting.
Sunday roast, and watch it with the Sunday roast.
It's interesting because the difference between when they practice in the daytime, the difference in the temperature of the track.
Yeah,
at night time
it's mad, that, isn't it? The way they do the practice race and race for pole in the daytime, and then we'll race under lights.
Well, they qualified under the lights, but they practiced in the day.
Okay.
So the difference in so all the data that they gathered during the day, because don't forget, Formula One is a data-driven.
Yeah, so your race plans surely kind of got to go a little bit, especially with the margins of error that those guys are under. It's quite fine, and when I say fine margins,
it is
fractions of seconds or fractions of milliseconds, not necessarily. Yeah. So you think it'll probably throw them out a little bit. That
it's going to be interesting. The only thing that shocked me really was Aston Martin, that were racing point last season, that did so well.
Yeah,
are near the back.
But
that shocked me.
But we'll forgive them for that, because that car is phenomenal looking.
Oh, it looks good, doesn't it? the British racing green.
Oh yeah. It is. We were looking at. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Without doubt, the nicest looking car on that grid.
It is. But they're not going to do much with it. It's going to be between Hamilton and Verstappen tomorrow, and I would predict it'll be between Hamilton and Verstappen for the title. As well, and I think there'll be some.
Does that not get boring though?
No, because it's been. You would say it's been boring with just Hamilton winning all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Hamilton fan.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I want to see battles on the racetrack. I don't want to see it just one person winning.
Yeah, well,
I want to see a battle.
I see a battle,
a fight.
Well, speaking about fights,
go on.
I know that I mentioned this to you. Tyson Fury, and AJ.
I know.
Looks like we're getting it on.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Oh, that'll do that. We need to get someone on from Merseyside boxing. Merseyside's got a rich history in boxing.
Yes,
we really, really have. So we'll have to put that in the diary to get someone in from
We will.
One of the places.
Just to go, some exciting things we've got coming up. I mean, today we've got an interview with the chief executive, CEO
yes, the CEO of Liverpool County FA.
Yes, Daniel Green.
Yes.
I spoke to him earlier this week. Great interview. Really nice guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people, they often go under the radar, a lot of the county FA officials, and they do absolutely sterling work. When you think the amount of people that are involved in grassroots football, whether it be within Cheshire FA, who kind of cover Merseyside, but they're in Cheshire, but Wirral's in Cheshire, and although Wirral's in Merseyside, it's a bit of an odd way that it works out, that the boundaries around that one. And then obviously I know a few of the guys at the county FA, at Liverpool County FA. And they do some absolutely phenomenal work.
Yeah,
when you look at the numbers of people that's involved, whether it's kids, adults, grassroots, or the leagues that they've got going, and just Merseyside, just a hotbed of football, isn't it?
It is.
It is. We know, obviously, grassroots. When all the pubs are closing down, that was the old traditional, wasn't it? If you had a pub, you had a football team. Yeah. When the pubs started closing down, the football team started, waning. And I know that we've potentially not got as many grassroots teams as we did have back in the day.
It'll come back.
Yeah, but we've still got, proportionally, when you compare us to like the rest of the country, Merseyside football, grassroots, very, very healthy, a lot of participants, a lot of referees, a lot of teams, kids are involved all the way right the way down. So you got under sixes and the leagues are healthy.
Yeah, they do a lot of things, and I spoke to him and it was a very interesting interview. We have got coming up some other interesting interviews.
Okay.
We have got the Liverpool Rollerbirds, and that's because of Chase.
So I'm going to say this, it's controversial. I've met many an angry Merseyside female. Okay. Right, and the only thing I can think of what worse is putting angry Merseyside females on rollerblades. It scares the bejesus out of me.
How do you know? Why are they going to be angry?
Because you've got to be. Have you seen it?
No.
Dear me.
I'll have to
fair play to anyone who does that. What? No. A lot of yeah.
I'll get myself watching YouTube before I interview.
Yeah, you've got to.
Or past the interview.
I mean, obviously, it's going to be controlled aggression and control. But yeah, no. Oh, dear me.
I might pass the interview to you.
I'd be okay doing that, I think.
And we've also got, and this is exciting, the Liverpool Vulcan. Is it the Vulcans? The baseball team.
Okay.
We're speaking to them too.
That'll be good.
That's interesting.
Well, I think we need to do that. We need to, Merseyside's got a lot of sport.
It's not just
and
football.
It's all traditional. We always go football, and then we go. And I know, obviously football. We're football centric as Merseyside, but we need to we get them on because there's all sorts of different. I'm not going to say weird and wonderful, but it's just like, you know what I mean. When I say weird and wonderful, I don't mean weird.
Yeah,
but there's all sorts of variety out there, unusual stuff you never heard about.
Yeah. But baseball's got a rich history in Merseyside, having used Goodison Park and Prenton Park in the past.
Nice. So I want to try and get. I'm trying to put the feelers out to Liverpool futsal.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not because obviously I'm a futsal referee and football referee for my sins as well. And futsal, we're trying to really, it's a small-sided version, indoor, and it's a hell of an exciting game.
Looks like
not by my voice, you can't tell, but it's one of those, a lot of the Brazilians, a lot of Iberian, Spain, Portugal, all brought up on this indoor football, and it's quick, it's fast, it's entertaining, close control, and a lot of Coutinho grew up on it. Yeah. Salah would have played it, so I'm going to try and reach out and see if we can get someone from Liverpool futsal involved.
Yeah, I think I'll end up playing the the walking football.
Yeah.
With my hip.
Oh, that's all you can. Hobbling dodgy football hip. In your case. Hobbling football.
Hip,
big story. We would be remiss if we didn't cover it. Everton Stadium getting the absolute green light from the government.
Excellent idea.
I think 52,000 right on the front there. We'll have some of that.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be good if, I don't want Tranmere to move from Prenton Park, but if we had to, wouldn't it be quite something if we built a stadium at the docks right opposite the new Everton
Well, it could
stadium?
happen. It could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen. I believe there's a feasibility study that's in the pipeline to go on and have a little bit of a look at a multi-use.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I mean, what great news for Everton supporters that is, because it's something they need. They absolutely need it, and I think any Everton fan, I speak to my brother-in-law, speak to my cousin, and they've obviously Moshri in charge. They've got a hell of a manager. Mm-hmm. We've touched on this now, and I think that's the next thing that they need. Yeah, get that in there, right on the waterfront there. Get it full, because Everton fans they will turn up. 52,000 of them, it will. Yeah,
and they'll be able to see the game without big poles in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know whether you've been to Goodison Park, but
I believe so. I believe so. There's seats there where you have rather large structural poles right in between your legs. And thingies. I've never sat in one of those restricted view seats myself, and but I've been told. I've been well informed about them.
Yeah,
but that's good news. Good news, because I think it was dicey there, especially with the whole what's happening with the city council and everything. So huge sigh of relief for everybody involved with Everton.
Yes, absolutely, a good one that. And I don't know, what else have we got to talk about today? There's football going on right now, isn't there?
There is. You've come where I said last week, didn't I? I said about where you were wearing gold in honour of Wolves. Is it orange in honour of Netherlands? They're playing at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. No. It's orange because it's the first one I took out of my wardrobe. Basically,
it's the only one that was clean.
It was a clean one. Yeah.
That's good. It's good.
Yeah. So, what else have we got? Anything else? No, that's it, isn't it? I think.
No, we'd have to do a bit of a roundup. We'd have to think of things to do.
Yeah, well, we've got the interview coming up shortly, haven't we?
We need some Merseysiders to get involved in like international cricket, and then we can talk about England, India.
Oh, come on.
Good off.
Cricket's not really a thing for Merseyside, is it?
That's what I'm saying. We could do with someone from Merseyside getting like I don't know. You know, I know obviously there's a lot of amateur cricket.
Yeah.
Out Egbert. I'd play like seen Lancashire play at Egbert. There's a link into Merseyside. And they come and play at Southport as well.
They do, yeah. They do.
But not much doing there.
No. So, should we go to the interview?
We should.
Okay. Well, this was recorded earlier in the week, but this is Daniel Green from the Liverpool County Football Association. Hi, and with me on Sports Week Merseyside, we have none other than Daniel Green of Liverpool County Football Association, newly appointed CEO. You've only come to this role very recently, haven't you?
That's right, Phil. Yeah, but about 5 weeks now. So 5 weeks, but it feels like 5 years.
I bet it does. Everything's from the start of you coming into this. It's all kicked off, really, hasn't it? Excuse the pun. But literally, you've come into the role and grassroots is coming back straight away.
Absolutely. Yeah. Outdoor grassroots football from Monday. I rather foolishly thought that starting the role while football was suspended would be a wise move. But it's been a hectic month. But the important thing is that the grassroots football is coming back on Monday.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that. It's the most important part of football. People look at the Premier League, don't they, and even the professional pyramid and semi-professional, and they look at that and they think that's it. But without the grassroots, there'd be nothing. Am I right?
That's right. And you know, the organisation Liverpool County FA, we sort of responsible for developing and governing the game, but that spans about 60,000 people across the region. So you're right, grassroots football is a huge audience, and yes, there is the elite game, the semi-professional game, but my view is this is where football starts. This is where dreams and aspirations can start, and be that as a player, a coach, an official. So it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, so just tell us a bit about your background before you came into this role you've just started.
Yeah, sure. So most recently I was with the Football Foundation. So they are the charity, the delivery partner, if you will, for the Premier League, Sport England and the FA. Okay. So they're responsible for investing into community football facilities. So if you take the hubs that were fairly recently built in Liverpool, 3G facilities, changing pavilions, small-sided facilities, that's very much their bag. How do we improve facilities to get more people playing? Prior to that, Phil, I was within the County FA network, but further along the M62 at Manchester. So at Manchester FA, I was Chief Operating Officer. So again, a bit more of a sort of strategic and operational role there for a number of years.
Are we allowed to boo at this moment?
You are, and as I'll disclose now, as a Red of Liverpool, that is, I had to occasionally keep that very quiet for further along in Manchester, so I can speak a bit more freely now that I'm in Liverpool.
Oh yes, of course. So tell me where grassroots starts and begins then. So, or starts and ends. So where does your remit start, and where does grassroots become the next step of the game?
Yeah, I guess, strictly speaking, we start and are working with clubs, particularly in kind of your under sixes, dare I say, not formally or officially. That's classed as like a development squad, if you will. But we can start at that age, and it can span, as I'm sure you're aware, Phil, right the way through to veterans football, walking football. And what you've got within that is a whole range of different formats of the game. From affiliated, so your typical match play, 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side, 11-a-side, but also a huge portion of the game now is recreational football, where you or I have a busy week, maybe can't commit to playing week in, week out, but we still want to play with our friends for an hour, maybe for, however long that we've got. So we're seeing more and more that element of the game grow. We're also responsible for working with clubs that are in the National League system, so the wider football pyramid as well. So your sort of steps 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, etc. So we have a huge scope in terms of who we have to work with, support, and govern the game with, and it keeps us busy.
So I mean, it's been a good year for Merseyside, really, hasn't it? Even at grassroots with the success of Marine.
Absolutely.
Coming through the FA Cup and facing, dare I say, doing better than Tranmere did against Tottenham, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just with Paul Leary, the chairman at Marine, a couple of weeks ago, as it happens, and sort of reminiscing, if you will, over that run. And I guess what it does, Phil, is it shows the beauty of the cup still, and that draws like that can happen, and the impact that a draw such as what Marine had, the impact it can have on that club, and they're now looking to a bright future ahead, and potentially how they can invest, the competition monies, if you will, and the broadcasting monies into enhancing what they do, both as a first team, but also within the community in the Crosby area as well. So long live the FA Cup, shall we say? Yeah,
it's a great tournament, the greatest in the world. I still say that, and it saddens me to see some of the teams at the top sort of devalue it, by putting out third string sides. I mean, second string sides are not so bad. You think Tranmere against Watford, Tranmere beat Watford. It was Watford's second string, but the one player at Watford, would the salary would keep Tranmere going for 5 years.
Absolutely, and I think unfortunately, maybe some of the money that is involved at the higher echelons of the game, and maybe within competitions like the Champions League, etc., there is more money to be won in those competitions, and therefore you get some of the more recognisable names who are basically prioritising where they kind of put their teams and their effort most, and so long as my personal view is, so long as there is romantic stories such as Marine, then I think it's good for the game, and it's good for clubs at that level as well to see that it can still be done, even despite the riches that are across the game in certain parts.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right there. So tell me the difficulties when you've come into this role of having to deal with the COVID issue. It's the big elephant in the room, isn't it? So how are you going to ensure that people are safe playing grassroots? So what sort of things, measures of the county FA as a whole? Because I'm not expecting you to have done it in 5 weeks, but I'm sure there's been work that's gone on in the whole year, in the last 12 months, really. So what's been set in place?
I guess the first thing to make clear is clearly the FA, as a national governing body, have had to work closely with the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. Ultimately between the two bodies, they are creating the guidance that works alongside the government's roadmap to ensure that we can start to return to outdoor grassroots football. So that's been constant across this period. I think most recently, and as recently as yesterday, the updated guidance came out and the green light, if you will, to say that football could restart again. And what we've got is quite a comprehensive package of guidance. And that's been, again, constant throughout the last 12 months, Phil, is that guidance has been very thorough, very detailed. I'm sure maybe for grassroots, it can sometimes feel a little bit onerous or overwhelming, but I would just reiterate that, this is all for the health, safety, and ultimately ensuring that enjoyable experience can come back for football. So it is really important that that's followed. I think the crucial guidance that has appeared in the last 24 hours is first and foremost, we no longer have a tier system. So whereas in previous spells during the lockdown, we've had this scenario whereby football hasn't really been able to travel. Now we've got this kind of one set of rules for the country, which does make it much easier than it has been previously. And secondly, around travel, the FA and the DCMS are still keen that kind of travel is restricted where possible, and that safer travel guidelines are adopted and adhered to. But again, we haven't got that stay local message necessarily. The other key points to note here is that around changing rooms, so they'll remain shut for the time being. Again, that will hopefully follow as the roadmap starts to kind of progress from a national perspective. The big one, and I can't really stress this enough, is around spectators. So as it stands at the moment, really it's one parent or carer for any child or young person under the age of 18. There is no spectators allowed in, and I think maybe not just in Liverpool, but where we've seen it elsewhere in the country, there have been instances during lockdown where matches or recreational football has been taking place, and I would just sort of plead, so to speak, to clubs, leagues and others that they redouble their efforts and make sure that this particular aspect, Phil, is adhered to really, really stringently, because, as I say, it's ultimately about the health and the safety of themselves, but also that wider network of teammates, friends and family, etc. as well. Sorry, Phil, you're going to say? I was just
going to say that's surely a very difficult thing to do, do for clubs, the FA and everybody, really.
Yeah, and one thing that the FA have done again in this latest guidance is provide, a risk assessment template, safeguarding templates as well, to provide as much support as we can, and a template, because again, I appreciate this can be very difficult, be it you're running just one team or you're a club that's got 100 teams. It's still a task that needs to be followed, and there may not be the skill set within the club or league to do that. So templates and resources have been developed to try and make this as painless as possible, and to ensure that, as I say, there's absolute clarity for everybody within that club, at that facility or within the league as to what protocol needs to be followed, where and when as well.
Right. Okay. So you're asking people for common sense to prevail, really, aren't you?
We are. And as I say, I would think 95%, if not more, Phil, have followed that during the lockdown period. I'm not going to sit here and say there have been instances that have been brought to our attention, and where they are, and we know who the club is or the league is, we will be making contact to ensure and reminding and requesting that ultimately this guidance is followed, because I think my view is football sometimes comes under unfair scrutiny, and I just see that we don't want to give anybody or any people locally, nationally, the opportunity to give us further scrutiny when the guidance isn't followed. So again, it's that, please follow the guidance and redouble your efforts to make sure everybody is safe and healthy and can enjoy football in an enjoyable manner.
That's very important to talk about. I'd like to get on to more maybe football matters now. So let's get back on the field of play. So things that you do as a county FA, I'm assuming you run courses for coaching badges. Do you do that, and referee courses?
Yeah, we do.
Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a program of education and development that we run, but also in conjunction with the FA. This coming season, Phil, we will see a number of courses move a bit more centralised than being delivered by the county FA. But nevertheless, yes, for coaches, your level 1s, 2s, UEFA modules, we'll also from this season be running a far more comprehensive CPD package for our coaches as well. So that we hope will be in partnership with some of the other football stakeholders locally, giving our coaches access and exposure to some of the current topics and trends that are going on within the game. From a referee point of view, as you highlighted, yes, again, there is some changes in the forthcoming season to that course, but we will be running face-to-face courses as soon as we're able to do so, to ensure that we're recruiting new referees and ultimately signposting them into the relevant leagues within their area. And then the other aspect is around safeguarding and emergency aid as well. So again, needing to ensure that club or league welfare officers, coaches have the appropriate qualifications in place, again, just to ensure that that environment is safe and enjoyable for the participants. That's good to hear. So just if we move on to the field of play, and again, there's been a lot of talk about big teams not surviving this pandemic. Football league teams, even Premiership teams have been, talked about as losing an awful lot of money. The funding for a lot of the grassroots game until you get to the semi-professional is usually done by, if in my day it was subs. You used to have to pay your subs. Membership fees, for those that don't know what subs are, not the subs sit on the bench. But we used to have to pay the subs. There comes to a point where spectators are important, but the majority of grassroots is funded by grants, by parents, by things like that. So what sort of impact do you think this pandemic has had on those smaller clubs who haven't been able to collect that money over the last 12 months? Yeah, I think as a general comment, I'd say it is quite a mixed picture out there. You're absolutely right. At one end of the game, even the National League system, semi-professional clubs, spectators, sponsorship are all really valuable sources of income for them. And the reality is that many of them have not had that income over the last 12 months. And so now are reliant on the goodwill of sponsors to maybe front load some investment for the forthcoming season, or to be quite brutal about it, Phil, that they're eating into their reserves, and some are relying on bounce back loans and government grants. At maybe the more grassroots level, again, I think it depends on the size of the club and maybe the measures or how prudent they've been over years in terms of their financial planning and how they run their finances. But there's no getting away that I think whatever size of club you are, there has been a financial impact through COVID. And we've been really pleased to see and support initiatives by organisations like the Football Foundation, who I'd previously worked for, that throughout this pandemic have looked to roll out revenue grants to support around ongoing maintenance of pitches, potentially, around compliance of changing rooms where clubs or leagues have access to facilities. And just recently in these last few weeks, they've also introduced the Return to Play Fund as well, which is targeted particularly at clubs within areas of deprivation, but also formats of the game such as disability football, and for our pro club trusts, your Everton in the community, the LFC Foundation in our region. So I think it's fair to say, that there has been a lot of work and effort that's gone into trying to support the game through this period. I think my challenge and the team's challenge here at the County FA over certainly the next 12 months is how do we get the game back up on its feet? How do we ensure that as many of those clubs, as many of our leagues, as many of those coaches and officials are still involved in the game this time next year? And I think that's our biggest challenge. But hopefully, football's back indefinitely now. We've got a bit of a clearer road ahead of us, and we can, as I say, work with our members and partners now to ensure that the game gets back to pre-COVID levels, if it ever can, but as near to that as swiftly as possible.
Okay. Right. Before we finish, I'm going to ask you for some tips.
Okay.
So in the 4 leagues that are professional, there are 3 Merseyside teams. Are they both the Liverpool and Everton? Are they both going to get to Europe? And
you are putting me on the spot now, and as a red, I mean, it's not been the best of seasons. I'm going to say, I think Everton. I think Everton will make Europe, and I'm going to be optimistic and say Liverpool will squeeze in there as well. I'm going to hope that that's the case. We may even win the Champions League, Phil. Maybe that's going to be our best route in. So yeah, fingers crossed.
And Tranmere promoted.
Yes, yeah, I saw the interview you did with Mark recently as well, and I've met Mark previously. I'd like to see Tranmere return back up. It was a pretty unkind fallout how it happened, in terms of that relegation most recently. So I know they do a lot of good work over on the Wirral, so it'd be nice to see them return back to the level they should be at.
And what about teams like Marine, Camel Lairds, South Liverpool, and
your lower Brex, you see? I mean, you could go on, Phil. You really could. The game at that National League system level in the region is a bit of a hotbed. It's really healthy and competitive. Again, using Marine as an example. I mean, you look at when lockdown struck, they were flying. They were looking at automatic promotion, and there were other clubs equally in the region who were in a similar position. I think for us, let's hope that they all get back up and running and they get through this period. And when National League system season starts again next season, it would be good to see a number of those clubs move further up that football pyramid. And I should say, it would be remiss of us not to look at the likes of Everton women as well. You look at the season they've had, very competitive in a league that is getting much more profile, much more investment, much more competitive. And hopefully, equally Liverpool FC and their ladies team, on the appointment of a new manager, we'll see them return to the WSL and the Merseyside derby from a female perspective back sooner rather than later as well.
Absolutely. On the women's football, before we finish, is that something that is it the same county FA for women's and men's football?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the female game is a huge part and a huge growth area for us. So we're working very closely from, our sort of introductory, they're called Wildcat sessions, Bill. So that's our introductory to football for women and girls. So that's where it starts. And for us now, it's about building that pathway that a little girl can come along, but aspirationally can see, I could play for Everton, I could play for Liverpool, and we need that pathway in place. So there's a heck of a lot of work going on with both of the clubs and wider partners to really grow the female game across the region. Yeah,
of course, and that's what we'll see as a country eventually stopping USA from winning everything.
You would hope so, and the European Championships are in the country next year. They're delayed, so it would be nice to see some home success there that would again just help the growth of the game even further. Yeah, well, it's been great speaking to you, and thank you, Phil. Thank you very much indeed. Daniel Green from the Liverpool County FA, thank you very much, and thanks, Phil. I hope you continue enjoying our show too. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you to Daniel Green. That was interesting, wasn't it, Matt? Do you like that?
I think so, yeah. I mean, for me, it just goes to show that things that you don't see, the amount of work that goes behind the scenes and things that go, and nobody, they don't sing their own praises for me. They just quietly get along with doing things, and people just see teams just turn up on a Saturday and they play these fixtures, and it's really just, for me, it's great to find that, to put faces to some of the names of the work that goes on behind the scenes. And even though we've been in lockdown, it's interesting to get an insight into some of the stuff that has been going on in order to get us back.
Yeah,
get absolutely. Us back.
Yeah.
Roll on next weekend. Get us back on those pitches.
Are you going to be refereeing?
I am. I've got a couple of fixtures penciled in. I'm easing myself back in with some youth fixtures and some youth games next week.
Oh, you get your yellow card and your red card in your pocket.
Yes. I'll just be happy to get round, to be honest with you. I've not really done. It's been a bit of a weird third lockdown for me.
Yeah.
So first one, kept up to date with my fitness, out running because it was nice. We were coming into the win. Second one was able to keep up the fitness. This third one, it's gone totally out the window for me. Right. My fitness and my exercise has not been anywhere near where it should be. So I think sometimes you just need to get back. Let's get back on the let's everybody get back on the football pitch.
Yeah. So that's happening. And yeah. So thank you to Daniel Green. And I think, what do you reckon, to get some opinions from someone else other than us?
Yeah. I get tired of listening to you, and you get tired of listening to me. I think so. So we maybe go to the phone calls. There's the phones. Yeah.
Let's do that. Okay, let's go and speak to some people. So our first caller today is Zoe, and Zoe is a Tranmere Rovers fan. Where are you from, Zoe, first of all?
Well, it depends what you mean by from, because I come from the Wirral, of course, but I live down near Bristol. It's just outside Chepstow.
Okay.
So I'm an exile. I'm a Rovers exile.
Okay.
But of course not exiled anymore whilst all this is happening and I follow.
Right, okay. Cool.
But then that being said, though, given that we've got next Friday, that would have no doubt been a game you would have picked up.
I would have been there. I really, you better believe it, I would. Yeah, I know. It's very sad. But there we are.
Yeah, it's the way it is. What do you make of today's game? Because we drew.
Yeah.
But we're in the automatic
we went to
places.
Third place. We're in the automatic places. We've gone 5 games without losing a match. And yet, I'm disappointed. I don't think any fan could not be disappointed. We're playing a team who can't win a match, neither could Colchester, and yet they both managed to hold us and at times threatened to defeat us. I just see the team walking through treacle. It's just this schedule of games is mad. It's crazy. We've got all these wonderful players, but they're kind of being brought down to a lower level of performance by fatigue.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I get that. I think that big weekend next weekend coming up. Obviously away to Cheltenham, and then home to Cambridge on the Monday, and then a few days rest there because obviously we had no Tuesday games. We got the Monday game, then we got Tuesday through to Friday, Saturday, and we then revert to mostly Saturday games now. We're not as much Saturday Tuesday.
It should be more normal, shouldn't it? And I think this would make a big difference. I mean, it looked like we lost Scott Davis. What they said in the commentary, it sounded like that was a season-ending injury. I mean, that's the spine of the team that Keith Hill built. With Vaughan and Clark and Spearing and Scotty has been very badly harmed. And although we've got some great players, and I think that will come through, it's still pretty difficult. It's really, really difficult. There can't be a Tranmere fan anywhere who's not fretting. When's Vaughan coming back? When's he coming back?
We don't know,
No, nobody knows. It's a cloak of secrecy.
Yeah, I
think that's a good thing.
Yeah, perhaps it is. But I get to go to the games and speak to people there, and nobody knows. Nobody's talking. I
think it's one of those, though, isn't it? Given where we are in the league at the minute, football there is a psychology and a bit of mind games that goes on with it now, doesn't it? You go back a few years and Fergie and Keegan going toe to toe or mind to mind, and then obviously the way that worked out. And Keith Hill, for me, I think he might be doing something similar with that. I'd like to think he was. Fingers and toes crossed that he is.
Absolutely.
And then the team sheet comes out next.
It isn't today's game. You hear people saying, "Oh, well, today's an absolute must-win game," or "The game against Colchester must win," but it's not. It's the last 5 games of the season that are the ones that will tell us where we're going to end up. Yeah. Will we be able to have the energy, the drive, and will the team be able to reflect its very, very considerable abilities? Because when they're playing well, this is the best Tranmere team I've seen in 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I do wish Scott a speedy recovery, and fingers crossed. I hope nothing untoward's happened with it. I'd hate to. Fingers crossed. It's just a little bit of a tweak or a strain.
Well, it was suggested on air that the reporter came at half time but he snapped an Achilles.
Yeah,
dear me.
it's I like I say, I was there and heard the scream.
Was
it wasn't nice.
Did you?
Yeah, he's. I would be surprised if he's back in a Tranmere shirt. I don't know how long his contract is.
He's here next year, isn't he? He's got another year on it.
Has he got another year?
Yeah, I think he is. I think Mickey put him on the contract for another 2 years last year.
Yeah, so I'd be surprised to see him back this season, and hopefully he'll be back next season. So, but we're going to have to look at the rest of this season without him, I'm afraid.
I think
so. I mean, fortunately, we've got Joe Murphy, and I thought he was highly accomplished today.
Yes.
I mean, just talking about today's match, I mean, it was very entertaining. I thought it was really entertaining match. And you were sitting on the edge. I was anyhow sitting on the edge of my seat, thinking either side can win this.
Yes.
But there's no cutting edge to Rovers at the moment, and that's what's troubling. Woolery scores great goals, but they have to be a great goal. He doesn't score many simple goals. He scores fantastic goals. And we've got to have somebody. Paul Lewis can't knob these in. He just isn't going to. And Clarkey missed a couple of excellent opportunities. We don't have people with those kind of skills in the side, and that's worrying me a lot.
I think it's a luxury to be able to have that, though. I think down at our level, we're not, in League One, you might be able to carry a couple of goal scorers and have them sort of, competing for things. But I think where we are, you've got to manage your budget very carefully, and it would be fantastic to have 2 out-and-out goal scorers like we did when we were in the National League in Cook and Norwood, but I'm not sure we've got the gift for that. It was fantastic time seeing 2, and if Norwood went off the boil, Cookie was there to go, and I just think at the moment
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget. Even though this team is overall is a completely different order of excellence higher, I agree. They're unforgettable. Can I just say one last thing?
Yes.
I just want to mention Spearing and Clark, because I watch those players, and they play pretty much the same every week. It's something you expect from Premiership players, but they're turning out extraordinarily reliable performances every week. I think they're a bit tired now, understandably, but I think they're amazing. Absolutely astounding.
Yes, absolutely. Jay Spearing is, and he quite often gets man of the match voted by the fans on the Cowsheds forum.
He does.
So yeah, you're right, and a lot of fans think the same as well.
They're quality. They
great.
definitely are. They definitely are.
But their age, particularly Clark, it's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
You look, Clark is probably the first name he puts on the team sheet every week. And look how old he is. A lot of players, like Danny Lloyd, he's not playing every game. You think, well, Danny Lloyd's playing well enough to start, but he's probably reckoning he's just not strong enough or fit enough. I don't know why, but that's my guess.
Or he's saving him.
Yeah, Matty thinks he's saving him for next week.
Yeah.
Cheltenham.
I think when that today, for me, it was screaming out for Lloyd to come on, and then Kirby's come on, and I can't help but think that Lloyd's champing at the bit now, and then he's going to go and do some damage. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's hope so. I really do.
And when I say damage, I mean that in a good way.
Weekend ahead. It's a really, really exciting weekend ahead. It really is. I fancy their chances if they play their best. I don't think there's any team in this division that worries me. It's just we've not really got as many wins from the teams at the lower end as we all would have hoped, and that's disappointing.
Well, that bodes well then. If we've not got, we've been beating the teams in and around us, and we're playing first and second next week. So
yeah. Well, let's come out of Easter with 2 things: Tranmere top of the league, and cream eggs still being for sale.
Oh,
that may be your wish. I want Tranmere top of the league. Come May.
Yeah, no, I'm not bothered about next weekend. Yeah, I have the longer term game.
If we lose both of them every weekend, that would be crushing, absolutely crushing. But let's assume that doesn't happen, and it won't be a disaster.
Well, let's see what happens. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us, Zoe.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
You take care and have a great weekend and a great week. Take care. Good night.
Thank you. And you. Bye.
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 So next online, welcome to John Currams, who's calling all the way from Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands. Hello, John.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
I was going to ask you what the weather's like, but that's the daftest question I'll ask in this interview.
No, I won't tell you.
We'll be jealous. He's a Liverpool fan, and Liverpool, who obviously won the league last year, so you were obviously very happy last season. But this season, it's not gone so well, has it, in the league? Any reason why?
No, it's been a disappointing season.
Yeah, why do you think that is, John?
I don't know really. It's a mixture of things. I mean, you've got a lot of players that are playing out of the normal position that they would play in, and I think I remember from my football days, if I was asked to play in a position I wasn't really feeling comfortable with, I'd always find it difficult to actually rise to the challenge.
Yeah. You're talking like Henderson playing at the back and things
yes,
like that.
Yeah. Firmino playing as a defender when he's a midfield player, and things like that, and also the amount of injuries we've had as well, which doesn't help. I know it's not an excuse because your squad should be big enough to cover that, but it does knock you back a little bit. It
does. I mean, but one thing I noticed, and I spoke to in the show a couple of weeks ago to Matt about this, when COVID came and fans stopped going to the games, and when the games came back, so you were so far ahead in the league, but without without fans, your league form, even at the end of last season, started to drift. And I wonder whether Liverpool are a team that really rely on their fans.
They always say, don't they, that your fans are an extra player.
Yes, and Liverpool fans are quite passionate, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, very passionate. Yeah, very passionate.
If you think about the Champions League final when you're 3-0 down, I think the fans sort of sucked that ball into the net 3 times, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
So, Champions League is still not out of touch, though. But you've got Real Madrid. What do you think your chances are there?
Well, if you look at the history of us playing against Real Madrid, we beat them, but they've actually beat us. I think last time they beat us 3-1.
Right.
And that was due down to goalie errors.
Right.
But then, I don't know. It could go either way, to be honest. I think we've got us. I think if we beat them, it could be drawn against another English team, and the chances are 50-50 then.
Yeah. So, but if you win the Champions League, of course, you don't need to worry about the qualification for the Champions League.
No.
So that's probably your best bet at the moment because you fifth.
Yeah. I mean, you're difficult to qualify next time if we finish out of the top 5, which is looking very likely at the moment.
Yeah, because you've got West Ham playing very well, and Everton are 3 points. Sorry, they've got a game in hand on you, haven't they? On equal points, I think, aren't they? I'm sure you don't want them to finish ahead of you. But
not really, no.
But there you go, Matt. Any points?
I just think for me, I don't know. We get back to obviously the Liverpool injury crisis, or the Liverpool injury with obviously Van Dijk being out there. There are a lot of defensive injuries, but for me, and I obviously my dad's a Liverpool fan, and I've had this conversation that everybody assumed that when Liverpool's defenders were the ones that were injured, obviously Gomez and Van Dijk, it would be Liverpool conceding goals that would be the problem, and actually it's manifested itself in a very, very different way. I mean, obviously it's the lack of goals, isn't it? It's obviously with likes of Henderson and other players having to play in different positions. It's actually stifled Liverpool's attacking ability more than anything else. So they've gotten beat by the odd goal. Just like 1-0 here and by the odd goal. But it was weird because I don't think many people sort of thought at the time when sort of Gomez went down and Van Dijk went down, everyone assumed it was, Liverpool are going to struggle defensively. And it hasn't been that way. It's been the top end of the field, hasn't it, weirdly enough?
Yeah.
But the thing
I'm not actually disappointed in the way they played, because I think a lot of the time, some of the goals that they've missed, they would have put them away at the times. But I think, the way they've been attacking football they've been playing it's been quite good, but it's just the lack of goal scoring ability at the moment, which is a problem.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. And when you got people like Salah, Firmino playing there, you'd think, how on earth can they get into a situation where they're not scoring goals? But
I know
it is the case, and people's form does change. But Before you go, are you going to give us a prediction, a score prediction for the game against Real Madrid at home?
I think we'll probably clinch it 2-1. I think
2-1, and then away.
Well, that's going to be a difficult one. If we can get a 0-0 draw, that would do me.
So we're going to go 2-1 at Anfield, 0-0 in Madrid, and at the Bernabeu.
We'll go through.
And then you go through, and then that's your route to the Champions League next season. Well, John, thank you so much for.
Well, I just say the only good news we've had, really, I don't know whether it's a rumour or not, but they reckon that the owners are going to invest 540 million next season.
How much?
540 million.
I wouldn't mind a chunk of that in my pocket.
I picked up this week on one of the other radio stations. There was talk of Mo Salah potentially.
Well, yeah, he's been linked with Mo Salah coming back, isn't he? Because he's on a free, isn't he, in the summer?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And then was it Suarez potentially coming in his place, wasn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, Mo Salah going to Barcelona, but he's on a free and needs to come back, so he's got the option to come back to Liverpool. Whether we want him back, I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we? But anyway, thanks.
Well, I mean, he's a good established striker. That's one good thing, and his passion is always with any team he has to play with. So that should be a good.
He does.
We shall see. We
shall see what happens, but that's quite an investment. John, thank you so much for speaking to us. And
it's a pleasure.
You're a long way from Merseyside, but you're still the supporter. So keep it up, and I hope you get a Champions League win to celebrate soon.
I hope it rains.
Yeah.
Not likely. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much.
And one thing before we go. There's a happy anniversary as well, isn't there? How many years?
Yes, our wedding anniversary. We just had our wedding anniversary.
30 years?
Oh, I wished it was. No, it's only 20.
20 years. I knew it was with a zero after it, but 20 years. Yeah. Congratulations. I just thought I'd say that before you go. But thank
you very much.
Okay, have a nice evening. Take care. Good night.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
See you now.
So, great. Thank you to John Currams and thank you to Zoe Perry. That was interesting talking to them, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I wasn't at all jealous of the fact that he's in sunnier climes.
Fuerteventura. Yeah, I know. Well,
that's a challenge for us. Let's see if who can we get on that's the furthest Merseyside football fan away.
I think I can do that. I know a Liverpool fan.
I can get someone on from New Zealand.
Oh, you beat me by a little bit. I've got
nailed on. I can get someone from New Zealand.
Okay, well,
but then we can do the furthest, and we can do the most obscure. Like we can get some like a Tranmere fan from Mozambique or something like that. Runcorn Linnets fan from Greenland.
What? Come on,
Linnets. So technically, that's Merseyside, isn't it?
It is Merseyside, but it's just the thought.
Prescott Cables fan from Outer Mongolia.
There's no one in Greenland. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, we can do that. But I can get a Liverpool fan from Perth in Australia. But you've been with the New Zealand.
I'll have a word. I'll get my better half to have a word with her relatives in New Zealand.
I'll have to get myself into them islands in the Pacific, won't I?
You will
to try and beat you.
Yeah, like the Christmas Islands or something.
Yeah, Christmas. Well,
that's the target. The Christmas show. We want to get an Everton fan or a Liverpool fan or a Tranmere fan from the Christmas Islands on the Christmas Week show. That is a challenge.
Right, we'll do that. We'll put the word out. We'll get on social media and we'll do it. So let's look at the league table.
Yeah.
We'll only look at the League Two today.
That's all we can look at.
Nothing's changed in the Premier League because it's been the international weekend. So the good thing is Tranmere are now in third place.
Bizarrely, and I've had a look on a couple of the forums and bits and pieces. A few not unhappy campers, but bizarrely we should have won. We drew, but then we ended up going into the automatic places. So you've got to take that. If it happens like that for the remaining 9 games that we draw, we don't get the result we expected, but we move up a place. I'm happy with that. We'll take that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is. People are complaining, but we're at our highest position we've been all season.
Yeah. to take it one game at a time. It's an 8-game season, a 9-game season. We got to crack on.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
So what are you looking forward to this week? It's your sporting week. What's it look like? Grand Prix tomorrow. We've talked about that.
Grand Prix tomorrow. That's for me. That's the big thing.
Two England games in a week.
Yeah, they're not that interesting. The games. I don't really like watching England.
You're not?
No. They bore me. They just. I don't know what it is, but they tend to bore me. So
okay, fair enough.
Just an opinion.
No Everton or Liverpool this week.
No, that's next weekend. What we'll be on the show, but what have they got next weekend?
Yeah, so we'll be recording the show, and then after we finish recording the show, Liverpool are away at Arsenal.
Oh, tough.
And then on Easter Monday, Everton are home to Crystal Palace.
Interesting.
Bit of a funny one there.
Yeah,
Super League.
League.
Might watch that.
Saints. How are the Saints? Who they got next?
Hull Kingston Rovers.
Oh, a tough one.
Is it at Hull or are they doing it as central venue again?
I think there's talk of doing it as central venue for the next few weeks.
Whatever, it must be somewhere. And then Wire versus Lee.
It's Warrington in English
Warrington.
language.
Yeah, sorry. The Wolves. That's how you can tell. I used to turn around and say, "Oh, it's the Wolves. It's Wolves," and then people used to get chastised. It's not Wolves. It's Wire.
I know.
And even turn around and don't even get me started on the yellow and blue thing. Never say it's yellow. It's Primrose. You'll only do that once in Warrington.
Primrose
and blue.
Fair enough, if that's what they want. So that's what's going on next week. And yeah, we've got an interview with the Liverpool Trojans.
Okay.
The baseball rounders.
Oof. Don't say that. That's quite tasty, that.
I'm going to see what the reaction is when I call it rounders.
I wouldn't.
Why?
I don't want to upset them.
Do you think that'll end up being a 3-minute interview?
I think it'll be less than 3.
What do you reckon, Blake? Shall I? Don't call it rounders. No, it's baseball.
It is
Liverpool
baseball.
have I want to talk about them as a team, but I want to talk about this rich history they've got here with playing at Prenton Park and Goodson Park. And
yeah, definitely so.
It's not something minor. You think
it's
baseball,
not minor league. It's major league.
No, you think of baseball as being solely American, but then you've got this in Merseyside.
A diverse sporting culture around here. Definitely diverse sporting culture around here, and we'll dig into that as the weeks come by.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for listening and watching today. That's it, isn't it? My name's Phil, and your name is?
My name is Matt.
Still Matt.
Yeah,
I'm
still
Matt.
Phil.
And we will see you next week for another version of Sports Week Merseyside. Take care.
Take care. Stay safe.
Good night.